2 days ago, many people were surprised to see that after 14 years, Rockstar, for some reason, finally ported Red Dead Redemption 1 to PC in collaboration with 11 Studios. The same people that brought RDR1 to PS4 and the Switch only about a year prior. However, you might have already known this was coming because about 5 months ago, this was accidentally leaked by Epic Games along with a few other titles. And even about a month ago, in September, Rockstar themselves sort of leaked this PC port along with a GTA 5 Gen 9 version and even GTA 6 under the codename Americas in the form of folders that would appear in your documents directory. This happened after an update to the Rockstar Games launcher, which was then quickly fixed to remove the quote-unquote leaked material, which, again, wasn't more than just empty folders. But to us, it was even more proof that Rockstar was porting RDR1 to PC, and I guess we'll soon also see the expanded and enhanced version of GTA 5 on PC, which just means ray tracing and a few other things that honestly you could just simply mod in yourself, if you really want to. Although to me this is quite funny. It's almost as if Rockstar had enough of people leaking their stuff, so they just said, might as well do it ourselves at this point. Of course, leaks themselves are never fun, and in fact they are quite damaging not just to the developers and their company, but also to us, the fans of these games, because they can lead to a spoiled experience, and even more than that, potential delays. It's one thing for a game to get delayed simply because the end product isn't finished and up to par, but it's another for a game to get delayed because leaked materials surface the internet. Now, going back to RDR1, I'm just as excited as everyone else for this port to come out, mostly because of the modding scene that will simply explode, as I've already experienced Red Dead 1 via emulating. But I can't wait for an extended map mod that brings RDR2's part of the map into the game, graphics mods, and even crazier ones like turning John Marston into Iron Man or replacing horses with modern cars. The possibilities are basically endless. This move was pretty clever on Rockstar's side, because giving access to RDR1 to the thousands, maybe even millions of players that never got it on consoles is a really good thing, but secondly, this serves as a good distraction, or rather something to fill the void with, as people are waiting for the second trailer of GTA 6. Since the port is dropping on October 29th, and people speculate that the second trailer could potentially drop in November, this might end up driving more traffic and therefore more sales for the PC port. It's kinda similar to what they did to the Chop Shop DLC, which released very shortly after GTA 6's initial trailer. It brought in more players that might have dropped the game ages ago, and probably earned them more money and shortcuts as well. As much as we all hate it, it's proven to be a good business model for them. However, this PC port that came perhaps a decade plus too late in some people's view, makes me wonder if other games from Rockstar that also never saw a PC port and are nearing the 20th anniversary mark could finally have one. All of the games that I'm going to talk about are part of the Grand Theft Auto franchise. More specifically, they are part of the handheld family. And in order of release, they are as follows. GTA Advanced released in 2004 on the same day as GTA San Andreas, as a fun fact. GTA Liberty City Stories in 2005, Vice City Stories in 2006, and finally, GTA Chinatown Wars in 2009. Unfortunately, none of them ever got ported to PC, and even more unfortunate is that some of them never even got ported to the mobile market either. Let's talk about them in order. The first on the list is GTA Advance, perhaps one of the lesser known games in the franchise and the #1 worst selling out of them all, at less than 250,000. That sales number is so low that it basically speaks for itself. There is clearly no incentive for Rockstar to ever bother porting this game to anything other than the original hardware it was released on, the Game Boy Advance obviously. It's a shame though, because despite the incredibly low specs of this console, Rockstar managed to make a fully fledged GTA game on it, without cutting out too many important features of this franchise. It had an entire storyline, even though it's not the most interesting one. It had side missions and open world activities, like rampages and hidden packages to collect around the map, paint sprays, ammunition, and there's even a bit of the classic attention to detail that Rockstar is known for. Again, all of this on the hardware of a Game Boy, which is really impressive. But that's quite irrelevant to Rockstar. And so not only is this game stuck on the hardware that it's named after, but at this point in time, nearly 20 years after release, it's basically become abandonware, as there is no place you can purchase it anymore, aside from the resellers on eBay that list the game at absurd prices. And unfortunately, GTA Advance might not be the only game ever to become abandonware. GTA Vice City Stories, a game that I've talked about many times before, and I've dedicated an entire video explaining as to why it never got ported / remastered, might follow into GTA Advance's footsteps. The too long didn't watch summary of this video is that Rockstar isn't going to renew the licenses for a lot of the game's soundtrack. But simply removing the songs isn't good enough, because as you may or may not know, there's an entire subplot of missions that involve Phil Collins, which isn't just heard on the radio, but actually seen in the game. And if Rockstar were to bring this game to newer platforms, but not bother to renew the licenses, this would result in the beloved In the Air Tonight mission, named after the song Phil Collins is performing at his concert in the game, would be a silent and nonsensical experience. There might be other factors that led to this game never seeing the mobile market and therefore not the PC one either, but this is pretty much the #1 reason. Rockstar never renewed any licenses for any GTA game. In later ports to Steam, mobile, and more recently the GTA Trilogy Definitive Editions, which is a dead meme at this point, Rockstar simply took away the songs they weren't allowed to feature anymore, instead of spending pennies to keep them up. Because let's be real, a company that brings in $1 billion a year in shark cards clearly has the money to spend on keeping their games true to the original release. But until a miracle happens, we are stuck with missing soundtracks and a lack of ports to the PC of some older titles. But what about GTA Liberty City Stories and GTA Chinatown Wars? Since they got ported without any issues to the mobile market and missing soundtracks won't cause any issues to the storyline, why weren't they ported to the PC? And is there any chance of them ever seeing the light of day on the modding scene? Up until about a year ago, when the announcement of RDR1 release on PS4 and the Nintendo Switch happened, I would have said no. Their priorities were seemingly shifted, and hoping for games to not remain stuck on ancient hardware was just a dream. And can you blame the fans? Many people gave up on a port of RDR1 maybe 4 or 5 years after the initial release. No one would have guessed that on a random Tuesday, 13 years later, we would finally have RDR1 on modern consoles, and a year after that, PC players would also finally be able to play the game as well. Honestly, giving the community as many ports as possible of the same game is a double-edged sword. GTA 5 has been memed upon for being re-released on 3 different console generations. But seeing as it was and still is one of the most sold games not just in the franchise but in gaming overall, it clearly gave Rockstar an incentive to do so. And not so much for older games, that even when combined probably sold a fraction of what GTA 5 did over the last 11 years. As sad as it is, sales drive up the willingness for a company to spend the time on remasters and ports. And when a game hasn't performed extraordinarily well on the original versions, the chances become smaller and smaller. However, I wouldn't completely throw the possibility of games like Liberty City Stories and Chinatown Wars to maybe one day get ported over to PC. Just get 011 to do it, as they did a good job with the first re-release of RDR1. And I'm pretty certain that this next one is gonna be just as good. And for Rockstar, it's just free money. Because most likely there are a lot of players that never got to play these games on the original hardware and won't bother to get them on their phones, but would be willing to on PC. The mobile version of Liberty City Stories is perfectly fine, so if they made it work with a keyboard and mouse, I would take it in a heartbeat. I'm also somewhat hopeful for PS4 / Nintendo Switch versions of GTA 4 and the episode as well, since Rockstar did plan for this game as well as RDR1 to receive full-on remasters, similar to the Definitive Edition, but upon the disastrous release and the backlash that they got, they just decided to go for ports of the original. So perhaps GTA 4 might soon make it to the Switch, however, no one really knows. But what do you think? Is the port of RDR1 to the PC something that might kickstart a series of other re-releases of older games? Are you excited for RDR1 and the modding scene that will soon blow up because of it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're there, also leave a like. And of course, consider subscribing if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching.